I feel like I want to see something more. I want to see aggression. I want to be excited because the perspective that most people that's going to have, the most people that's going to have on this fight is essentially that Shakur Stevenson is going to be extremely like defensively sound. Then Teofimo Lopez isn't going to necessarily like just push forward constantly. He isn't going to like keep pushing forward. He's going to also want to protect his like, he's not undefeated, but he's going to want to protect his reputation. He doesn't want to win simply because he couldn't hit a person in the ring. That's why he denied the Devin Haney fight, because he knew Devin Haney was going to just run around the ring over and over and over, and there would be no way for him to catch him. Now, I mean, I guess it doesn't mean they're going to do that, but when they're just praising each other, it shows a high level of respect. And this was the same in the in the Canelo Alvarez and Crawford fight, but it's a completely different level, because with Crawford, you know he's like a beast. You know he wants to go after his opponent. With Canelo, you know he wants to also just rampage his opponent. You know he also is just here to beat people up. Like, but with Shakur Stevenson, if his hand gets hurt, he's gonna do whatever it takes to win. Edwin De Los Santos, for example, even though everybody brings this up, with Edwin De Los Santos, he had a broken hand and he still went into the fight, but he didn't want to lose. So he just did whatever he could to win. And that was to just get hit. No, hit and don't get hit. Even if you can't even hit back or whatever. So he won by like throwing one punch around. But with Teofimo Lopez, there's never really been like that time where he's been boring. But it's been their time where he's not really releasing his hands. He's like being overly responsible, and he's not like, it's not like a tactical breakdown, but it's just keeping a pace. How do I put this? Like Arnold Barboza, he never turned up the pace. He had high activity, but he never upped his pace. He was never looking for the knockdown. He was just seeing what was there. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's being responsible. That's being intelligent. That's the IQ you should have as a fighter. But when they're looking for excitement, when we're looking for excitement, you want to see more of like, I don't know, you want to see maybe just take a few shots. And I know boxers are always, or Shakur Stevenson is always saying they want to see us get hit and get our brains knocked out. But no, we want to see what we came for, and that's violence. We came for violence. And if that's not what we're getting, then why do we really, yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean like you can't be a smart boxer. Devin Haney is still entertaining. Shakur Stevenson is entertaining. Dimitri Bivol sometimes is entertaining. But Artur Beterbiev, Gervonta Davis, Terrence Crawford, seeing them just go at their opponents recklessly sometimes. Or recklessly but smart. Like they used to say, Terrence Crawford's this like the technical brawler, because he will be swinging for, he will go after his opponents with that aggression, but still duck, weave, and dodge and all that shit, bob and weave type shit, and still put his opponents out while like maintaining his IQ, not being completely stupid. We want to see like that more often. And I think Shakur Stevenson brought it out in the Zepeda fight, but I don't think he can bring it out every single fight simply because of his hands. And you don't want to damage your hands. And then like for this fight, let's say he does immaculate, Zepeda fight again, he does immaculate, but he has to sit out 3, 4, 5 months, and that's gone when he could have went and fought. When he could have went and fought another competitor, or defended his title, took another title, but instead he has to get a hand surgery. And who says his hands aren't decaying? That sounds crazy. Well, like degrading, you know? His hands could be degrading from that Zepeda fight, from that Edwin De Los Santos fight. It could be better. I hope it gets better because Shakur Stevenson is like one of those top dogs. But there's still that chance that he could just be getting worse and worse and worse. But I don't know. I want to see like that Zepeda Shakur Stevenson, but I also want to see Shakur Stevenson fight for a long time. Now with Teofimo Lopez, I don't know how he's gonna fight in this fight. In the Arnold Barboza fight, that was a different kind of Teofimo Lopez. That wasn't the Josh Taylor fight. In the Josh Taylor fight, you had like a more, I don't know, that was like, he has different styles. That's probably what makes him great. But that was a like technically sound fundamentalist Teofimo Lopez. Barboza fight is like this aristocratic, more artsy. It's a more artsy Teofimo Lopez. The one that fought Lomachenko, that was like prime Lopez, if I'm being honest. He had it all. He had the artsy with the fundamentals, and he'd be right in front of you. Loma couldn't land shit for 6 rounds straight, and then obviously Loma picked up later on. But that's probably the top prime Lopez. Now on the in this fight, I don't know who's exactly going to win. It's a little bit of a mystery. But if I had to guess between like 2 of the best lightweights, junior lightweights, super lightweights in the world, I say Shakur Stevenson. I don't know. It has to be Shakur Stevenson. But Teofimo Lopez is quick. I remember rewatching our Barboza fight. He is quick. Probably as quick as Shakur Stevenson. And then Shakur Stevenson never fought like somebody on that great scale of Teofimo Lopez. He had like, what's that, Oscar Valdez, Jamal Herring, but they're not like a Lomachenko or as big and powerful as, or I guess smart as a Josh Taylor, powerful as a Barboza, or a Steve Claggett fight. Teofimo had a Steve Claggett fight. I don't think, well, Shakur would have survived that easily, but it's like when you're talking about that power, that volume, and then the consistency, you're fighting that level of opponent. I feel like Teofimo Lopez has the resume beat. And then he also has the same amount of skills. So that should mean Teofimo Lopez should win. But ever since Zepeda, I just learned to never bet against Shakur Stevenson. It has to be Shakur Stevenson. I don't know. His hands could break in the fight. He could maybe just be defensive the whole fight. I still believe Shakur Stevenson is going to win every single time. I don't know what it is. He's just one of those. But I could be wrong because Teofimo Lopez is still one of those guys. He's still a top dog, man. So we'll see. We'll see.